Welcome back to Amateur Game Review. It's Randy, and today we're going over a game from one of the most storied franchises of all time. I mean, it's got laser swords, it's got Wookiees, and it's got everybody's favorite Captain Kirk. So let's get right into it. One of the most average games of all time. One of the latest games from Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order. Alright, now before you start typing out those angry emails, I know that they're supposed to be called lightsabers and that Captain Kirk had nothing to do with Star Wars. They did have Wookiees though. Now I just want to let everyone know up front a little disclaimer. I have never seen a Star Wars movie before, and I know I'm going to get buried in the comments for that, but I have played damn near every Star Wars video game, so we're just going to have to get through this one together. Okay, so Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a Star Wars video game made by EA. Let me repeat that, a Star Wars video game made by EA. Now I know that Respawn technically developed this game and that EA only published it, but if you haven't heard or you've been under a rock the last few years, EA and Star Wars go together like a dumpster full of gasoline and a lit match. I mean seriously, their last few games have been literal dumpster fires. Now I don't want to get into the whole morality of pay to win mechanics, loot boxes, or microtransactions, but let's just say that after Battlefront and Battlefront 2, a lot of players were just pissed off and didn't trust EA at all. When people first started to hear that EA was working on another Star Wars game, their first thought was, well shit, here we go again. Then the trailer dropped, and the trailer, I'm going to be honest, the trailer looked badass. Everybody was excited for this game. Then the game finally dropped, and to everyone's surprise, there were no microtransactions. Now it was pretty obvious that EA erred on the side of caution this time around. I mean, if they tried any type of fuckery, anything shady at all, they were going to get buried, and they knew that. Now, because this game didn't have microtransactions, it dropped to amazing reviews. I mean, this game is still getting great reviews, and I don't know why. I mean, it's not a great game. It's not an amazing game. It's not a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 game. Like I said in the intro, it's a pretty average game. But I guess EA set the bar so low with Battlefront and Battlefront 2, players would accept anything as long as they had the Star Wars logo and no microtransactions. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order finally released November 2019. The story takes place 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. You play as Ian Gallagher. You play as Cal Kestis, a Jedi Padawan posing as a scrapper on the planet Bracca. But oh wait, an accident happens, forcing the Ginger Jedi to use his force powers to save his friend. Now somehow the Sith were able to tell that force powers were used. They must have some type of super secret technology just for situations like this. Because within minutes, the Inquisitors and second sister Trilla were hot on his trail. Trilla kills Cal's best friend, forcing Cal to reveal his identity as a Jedi. Cal escapes the Inquisitor's grip and falls through the roof of a train. Now, they use the train sequence for a tutorial, and at the end of the line, you find Trilla, who by far outmatches Cal in every way. But right before she can finish you off, two random strangers come in for the rescue. Now that you're safe from danger, we learn the ship is called the Manus and is piloted by some guy named Grease and is accompanied by Cere. Cere reveals herself to be a former Jedi Master who knew Cal's master, Master Jaro Tapau. Cere goes on to tell Cal that her goal is to rebuild the Jedi Order, but she needs the Ginger's help because for some mysterious unknown reason, Cere can no longer use the Force or use a lightsaber. The crew makes their way to Bogano where Cal meets his new, highly marketable companion, BD-1. Now miraculously, this Ginger Jedi can also speak fluent droid talk. With the help of BD-1, Cal explores Bogano and learns that Eno Cordova has a list of Force-sensitive children in a holocron. But that holocron is hidden in a vault, so Cal and his friends embark on their new journey to find the hidden holocron. And that's about as far as I can go into this story without getting into spoiler territory. So let's talk about the characters. First off, the main character, Ian Gallagher. No, I mean it, fucking Ian Gallagher. Now, I have no problem with actors doing voiceovers for video games. I just wish they wouldn't use their likeness. I mean, the entire time I'm playing this game, I don't see a Jedi. I don't see Cal Kestis. I see goddamn Ian Gallagher. Now, to sum it all up, the characters in this game just weren't that good. I mean, they weren't interesting at all. I wouldn't blame that on the voice acting. The voice acting was okay. They just didn't have nothing to say. I mean, if you took away every corny line where they said, use the Force or trust in the Force, or all the dialogue points where they talked about the mission or their next objective, there would be no dialogue at all. I mean, there was no character building whatsoever. There was a couple of times where Cal would be running through a planet and BD-1 would make a couple mechanical sounds and Cal would say, haha. Good one, BD1, that was so funny. Now, I know what they were going for, it just completely missed. And they had one bit where Grease was trying to say that meeting Sarah and Cal had changed his life and he was a better person, but they never put in the groundwork, so it just didn't make any sense. The only real interesting character they had in this game was the main protagonist, second sister Trilla. I mean, just look at her, she's got that stripper on a bender look in her eye. After spending 10 minutes with my crew, I was screaming, please let me start killing some kittens or anything to join the dark side. Now, it'd been really cool if you had the option to join the dark side, but I get it, it's a single-player, story-driven game, it's very linear, it's got a story to tell. But Cal doesn't even contemplate joining the dark side, he is a good guy the whole way through. Now, maybe this game was just a little too PG for me. I mean, I get it, they want to keep that teen rating on their game to sell to a bigger audience. But, I don't know, just look at this. Yeah, that's a real thing, that actually happened. Now that I covered the story and the characters, let's go over one of the positives I have with this game. That's the graphics. I don't know how else to say it. The graphics in this game were amazing. I mean, there's a couple backdrops and scenes in this game that are just truly breathtaking. They put an insane amount of detail in damn near everything in this game. Here's my problem. There used to be a time in gaming when developers would make a good game, and if it looked good as well, that was a bonus. But now in gaming, the developers are focused on the game looking good as opposed to the game being good. I've never been the type of gamer to complain about bugs, lagginess, or just frame drops in general in a video game. I know it's a deal breaker for a lot of gamers. I just don't give a shit. I just want the game to be good. That being said, the amount of issues I encountered while trying to play through this game for a second time, which is very frustrating. I mean, just look at this. The amount of stuttering that keeps happening over and over and over, and then this happens. I mean, I literally got stuck in a texture. I had to quit out of the game and start over. This game's been out for damn near a year and a half. This shit should not still be in the game. Plus, I'm playing on a PS5? That's just lazy development. These issues should have been gone a long time ago. Okay, now it's time to get into the heart and soul of any video game. The actual gameplay. Now, the gameplay in this game can be split up into three main categories. You got your puzzles, you got the platforming, and you got the actual combat, the most important part of the game. The puzzles and platforming can be grouped together, because they both sucked. The puzzles just wasn't entertaining or creative. Most of them were just, hey, put this ball in the hole. No, that's not a dirty joke, those were the puzzles. There are so many games that do puzzles well. I mean, they were just so bad that halfway through the game, they just abandoned them altogether. Even the developers knew they sucked. Now, all these Tomb Raider, Uncharted-like sequences got old very quick. There's absolutely zero risk of death or failure, even on the hardest difficulty. That just equates to no danger or sense of urgency in any of it. It was honestly just a nuisance and a complete waste of time. Okay, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, the actual combat. Now, this was the best and the worst part of this game. There was so much potential here, and they completely botched it. The game it most resembles is Sekiro. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sekiro is one of my all-time favorite games. That game is a fucking masterpiece. You can rest at bonfires to refill your Estus, enemies respawn after you rest, a series of trash mobs usually leads up to a boss. Now, the boss fights in this game that involved lightsabers were actually really good. It was actually my favorite part of the game. The problem was, there was only 4 of them. Yeah, there were other bosses, but the bosses that didn't involve lightsabers were usually regular enemies with a special name. Yeah, there were a few optional bosses you could fight, but they were just regular enemies with a name and a different skin. One of the things that made Sekiro an all-time great was its epic boss fights. Now, if you're going to use the Sekiro formula and take out most of the boss fights, how's that going to work out? Spoiler alert, it doesn't. The trash mobs on this game just got way too repetitive. You had frogs, you had spiders, you had bugs, you had goats, you had bug goats. Yeah, I know that wasn't funny. Moving on. Now, with the stormtroopers, I get it. But other than that, I felt like a glorified exterminator with a very cool laser sword. They also could have done more with the diversity with enemies on different planets. It felt like no matter where I went or what planet I was on, I was fighting the exact same enemies. It got very repetitive. I guess we could talk about customization, but there really wasn't any. I mean, yeah, you get a new paint job for your ship, a new skin for BD1, or hell, you could even get a new collar for your poncho. For me, those things just weren't that important. I mean, compared to older games like Knights of the Old Republic or The Force Unleashed, customization was just very limited. And because of that, there was really no reason to explore. I mean, yeah, if you got real lucky, you could find a health stem upgrade for BD1, but 98% of the time, you're just getting a new color for your poncho, so there really was no point. While playing this game, I never really felt like a Jedi. You learn your force powers slowly as the game goes on, and I get it, they needed that to have some type of character progression. But because of that, you were severely limited in your creativity in combat. By the time you learned all of your force powers, the game was damn near over. And that's pretty much the theme for this review. This game always felt like it was leading up to something big. It just never got there. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Again, my name's Randy with Amateur Game Review. If you made it this far, I just want to know I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Stay tuned for our next video, and we will see you next time.